What if you were the last human on Earth? Look around your room, the walls around you, the hum of electricity flowing through wires hidden inside them, the distant sound of traffic somewhere outside your window. Maybe a dog barking, maybe a television playing in another house, maybe voices drifting in from down the street. Most of those sounds are so normal that you barely notice them until they're gone. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that every other human being on Earth has vanished, not dead, not hiding, not evacuated. 8 billion people disappear in a single instant, and somehow, impossibly, you are the only one left. At first, you don't panic. You assume something is wrong with your phone. You check your messages. Nothing. No new notifications. No emails. No missed calls. You refresh social media. No new posts. No new videos. No new comments. The internet is still online, but suddenly it feels frozen, like a museum displaying the final moments of a civilization that no longer exists. You call your family. No answer. You call your friends. Nothing. Emergency services. Nothing. Every call ends in silence. That is when the fear begins. You step outside. Cars sit abandoned in the middle of roads. Store doors remain unlocked. Coffee cups sit half-finished on restaurant tables. Somewhere, a television continues playing to an empty room. Somewhere else, an alarm keeps ringing because nobody is there to turn it off. Everywhere you look, there is evidence that humanity existed only moments ago. Yet there isn't a single person in sight. Not one. The first day is confusing. The second day is terrifying. The third day changes everything. Because, by then, you realize this isn't temporary. Nobody is coming back. The world isn't waiting for a rescue. You are alone, completely alone. Human beings evolved in groups. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on having other people nearby. A family, a tribe, a village, even strangers. Your brain was never designed for total isolation. No human brain was. The silence becomes impossible to ignore. At first, it feels peaceful. Then it feels strange. Eventually, it starts to feel wrong. You walk through neighborhoods that should be full of life. Houses stand exactly where they always did, but every window feels empty. Every doorway feels abandoned. Every parked car looks like evidence from some unsolved mystery. You start talking to yourself, not because you're losing your mind, because the human voice is the only human thing left. Then night falls, and for the first time in history, every city on Earth becomes a ghost city at exactly the same moment. New York goes dark. London goes dark. Tokyo goes dark. Tokyo goes dark. Millions of buildings stand empty beneath the stars. Entire civilizations vanish in a single day, and you are left to witness the aftermath. At first, electricity keeps working. Power stations don't shut down immediately. Water still flows from taps. The internet still functions. Satellites continue orbiting overhead. The world seems normal, but civilization is a machine built from billions of people, and machines break. Within hours, problems begin appearing everywhere. Thousands of airplanes are still in the sky when humanity disappears. Most are on autopilot, but autopilot was never meant to replace pilots forever. One by one, those aircraft run out of fuel. Across the planet, planes begin falling from the sky. Some crash into oceans, some crash into forests, some crash into cities, already empty of human life. Nobody records the disasters. Nobody reports them. Nobody even knows they happened. Ships drift across oceans without crews. Freight trains continue moving until they run out of track or power. Factories keep running until equipment fails. Automated systems continue doing their jobs without anyone left to supervise them. The world doesn't stop instantly. It slowly unravels. And you are the only witness. A week passes. The grocery stores are still full. There is enough food to last years, at least at first, but food spoils. Refrigeration depends on electricity. Electricity depends on people. Eventually, power grids begin failing. Not because they run out of energy, but because nobody is left to maintain them. One station fails, then another, then another. Entire regions go dark. For the first time since childhood, the night sky becomes truly dark, and that's when you notice something extraordinary. The stars, without city lights, the Milky Way stretches across the sky like a river of light. Billions of stars become visible. Constellations emerge from darkness. The universe suddenly looks far larger than it did before, beautiful and terrifying, because every one of those stars reminds you how alone you are. Months pass. Nature begins to notice. Humanity is gone. Grass pushes through cracks in roads. Vines climb abandoned buildings. Birds nest inside airports. Animals wander into cities without fear. The boundaries between civilization and wilderness start disappearing. You watch deer walk through shopping malls. Wolves roam suburbs. Foxes sleep beneath traffic lights. Nature doesn't mourn humanity. It simply moves into the empty space, and it does so remarkably fast. A year passes. The world feels older somehow. Roads crack. Bridges weaken. Windows shatter. Storms damage buildings. Nobody repairs. Entire neighborhoods begin falling apart. The cities that took centuries to build start crumbling in only a few years. Humanity spent thousands of years constructing civilization without maintenance. Nature begins taking it back almost immediately. You become a traveler. There is nowhere you need to be. No job, no schedule, no deadlines, no meetings, no obligations. The entire world belongs to you, and yet it has never felt more empty. You can visit Paris whenever you want. Nobody is there. You can walk through the streets of Tokyo. Nobody is there. You can stand in the center of Times Square. Nobody is there. The greatest cities in human history become monuments to a species that disappeared overnight. Years turn into decades. Animals thrive. Forests expand. Rivers change course. Entire ecosystems begin recovering from centuries of human influence. The earth starts healing itself, not because humans were evil, because life adapts to whatever conditions exist. And now the condition is your absence. You grow older. The loneliness never leaves. You try to keep routines. You talk out loud. You revisit old videos and photographs. You listen to voices recorded by people who have been gone for decades. You watch movies made by a species that no longer exists. You read books written by the dead. You become humanity's final historian, its final audience, its final memory. Eventually, there is nobody left who remembers your name except you. Nobody left who remembers any name. Every language on earth becomes extinct the moment you stop speaking it. Every culture survives only inside your memory. Every nation disappears. every religion, every tradition, everything humanity ever created shrinks down to a single living mind. Yours, and one day, even that will end. Because no matter how carefully you live, you are still human. You age, your body slows, your hair turns gray, your hands become weaker. The world continues moving forward, while you move toward the end. The forests don't stop growing. The oceans don't stop moving. The seasons continue changing. Life goes on. One day you realize something strange. You are no longer afraid. The loneliness that once felt unbearable becomes familiar. The silence that once terrified you becomes normal. The world has become what it was always meant to be, a planet without people, and soon it will be complete. On your final day, there is no audience, no hospital room, no family gathered around your bed, no funeral waiting to happen. Just you, the last human being, the final representative of a species that once built cities, crossed oceans, walked on the moon, and filled the world with stories. When your heart beats for the final time, something extraordinary happens. Human history ends. Not civilization, not a nation, not an empire. The entire human story. Every invention, every war, every song, every dream, every memory. Everything finished. And yet, the next morning, the sun rises exactly as it always has. The oceans continue crashing against distant shores. Winds move through forests, birds sing, clouds drift across the sky. The earth keeps turning, the universe keeps expanding. Nothing stops, nothing pauses, nothing notices. For more than 4 billion years before humanity arrived, Earth existed without us. And after the last human disappears, it does the same thing again. That might sound depressing. It isn't, because there is another way to look at it. For one brief moment in Earth's history, the universe became aware of itself. A species emerged that could look up at the stars and wonder where it came from. A species capable of asking questions, of creating art, of imagining worlds that never existed, of looking at existence itself and feeling awe. Humanity was never the center of the universe, but for a short time, it was the universe's witness, and maybe that's enough. Because even if the Earth forgets us, and the stars never knew we were here, there was once a species that looked into the darkness and tried to understand it, and for one brief moment, against impossible odds, that species was you.